Good evening. This is Rahul Magan here as a Group Chief Executive Officer, Treasury Consulting, and also a second year law student. Often people are asking me a very simplistic question, which I always try to answer, but I don't understand why this question is being asked from me. People asking me how to join a treasury function. Ladies and gentlemen, treasury is amongst the most complicated and responsible function of any corporate or a bank or any financial institution or private equity or any other entity. The role and responsibility of a treasury function is far bigger than role and responsibility of any other function except accounting. According to my view, accounting, investor relations, and treasury are the three top functions of any corporate or a bank. Of course, I have complete respect, honor, and dignity towards other functions also. The reason behind, to me, is that these three functions deal with numbers. Investor relation can't afford a single mistake because whatever the company is doing, the share price, the reserves, the equity dilutions, the percentage holding, any funding which is happening, non-happening, it is done via investor relation. Treasury is taking care of the front office, back office, middle office, and risk office depend upon the caliber of that corporate. And accounting is consoling everything as per the rules and regulation, the local cap of that country, and then presenting to the investors via a statutory audit. Ladies and gentlemen, if you wish to apply in a treasury function, then the only resolution is to visit the respective job sites and search the role and responsibility, basically the roles of treasury function in that relevant country. But there is a problem. The problem is that the treasury interview is always a complicated interview. Treasury interview is always an interview whereby your skills are going to be tested, that to a numerous extent. So don't expect that in a treasury function, people will not be checking your skill set. And more importantly, why I consider treasury as a most complicated function, because it is changing. Example, this video is October 2023. June 2023, the LIBOR is phased out across the globe. Still, there are trillions worth of products which are lying on LIBOR, and slowly, the banks are replacing them to the AFRs, RFRs, risk-free rates. Currently speaking, there are 10 RFRs which we are having, which is ESTR, Euro short-term loans, SONIA, Sterling Overnight Index Average, SOFR, Secured Overnight Financing Rate, ONIA, Australia Overnight Index Average, and so on and so forth. And this transition which is happening would impact the paperwork which has been done by that relevant corporate, which means ISDA agreements. We need to amend the ISDA agreements. But if you wish to be in a treasury function, probably XYZ respective degree you are done with, and you know about LIBOR for a minute, I assume you know about in and out of London interbank offered rate, then this is not sufficient. The reason behind is you need to understand RFR, which is risk-free rate, and that's very important. Ladies and gentlemen, you also need to understand one thing very clearly, that Treasury is a very dynamic function, because all corporates have their different architecture. It is said that, without quoting any specific name, there are 2 or 3 corporates in India who are running Treasury like a hedge fund. And without quoting any specific name, that hedge fund is really, they are running like a hedge fund and they are getting a benefit of that also. They are operationally very competent, they are EPS neutral, and that EPS neutrality is something which is beyond description. 99% of the people even do not understand what is EPS neutrality, because EPS neutrality is a very complicated function, very complicated exercise, but they made it, and then it should be hats off, let it be honest. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if you wish to join or be a part of a treasury function, then one thing which you need to understand is that your knowledge is supposed to be highly immaculate in nature. And this knowledge you need to amend your knowledge on a periodic basis. We have SOFR, Secured Overnight Financing Rate. Almost every month, there is a email which is coming in my mailbox from ARRC. This is a committee whereby the Federal Reserve governors are the members, and they keep updating the people about what is happening in SOFR, the valuation methodologies, and so on and so forth. Can I afford not to read this email? No, I can't afford that. Time or no time, I am supposed to study this email. That's really very important for me. Second thing, what people are asking from me is that what are derivatives and how to be a derivative expert. Ladies and gentlemen, globally, the derivatives are divided into FICC. By FICC, I mean fixed income, currencies, and commodities. But I believe that it is not FICC, it is FICC CST, which is fixed income, currency, commodities, crypto, structured derivative, and technology. By technology, I mean TMS, Treasury Management Systems. And if you're thinking you are good in FI and your job is done, then you are wrong, because you need to understand the whole asset classes very clearly. When we speak about derivatives, we need to learn that derivatives are not the standalone products. They are linked with an underlying. Because what is the plain vanilla definition of a derivative contract? The plain vanilla definition of a derivative contract is something which is deriving its value from an underlying. Now, that underlying could be IR underlying, interest rate underlying. That underlying could be fixed income underlying. That underlying could be crypto. That underlying could be currency, maybe a non-deliverable curve, maybe a deliverable curve, maybe OIS, overnight index swap, maybe TRS, total return swap, contour swap. List is very long, very, very long. So if you wish to be a derivative expert, you need to understand the underlying. Example, if your derivative is linked with the cash curve, and somebody is asking that I wanted to have a derivative which is linked with the cash curve, it means that underlying is OIS, overnight index swap. Because overnight index swap is the underlying for the cash curve. India, Indian rupee, Japanese yen, Great Britain pound, euro, Singapore dollar, Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar, you name that, they have their OIS curves. US dollars, liquid, non-liquid, that is a debatable issue. Do not enter into this. But if I wanted to have a derivative instrument whereby I wish to link this with a cash curve, that my understanding is supposed to be very clear, and that is the OIS curve. And that is not ending here, because in the OIS curve, I need to understand whether this is fixed side or this is float side or this is mid side. The big players, pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, all they are getting mid side also. While sometimes people get bid side, sometimes they get the ask side. It completely depends that you can't, it completely depends in which side are you. If you are on the liability side, you are on the bid side. If you are on the asset side, you are on the ask side. If you are a big player, you may get a bid. Henceforth, only knowing that OIS is everything is not making sense. It's all depends that what is your balance sheet. That's more important, that, how big is your balance sheet, whether you can negotiate based upon that balance sheet, what is your negotiable power, and so on and so forth. Another important thing which people are asking from me is that how can we learn derivative? We are very fortunate that Amazon.com having numerous great books on the derivative contracts which are available on Amazon.com. I'm not put any comment on the pricing, because pricing is something which is determined between Amazon and the seller. It's beyond my jurisdiction. It is not in my jurisdiction. But having said that, I buy books from Amazon as and when I require. Be it the finance books or the law books. I once again repeat, I'm not commenting on the pricing piece, because pricing is between Amazon and the party. But if you wish to be a derivative expert and you're expecting you study one book and you are done, then I apologize, because you need to go through so many books. Apart from that, it may require you need to go through numerous printouts which are available on the Google. Henceforth, the road of Treasury function is not an easy road. But for most of the people, this looks like a very easy road. But this is not at all easy road. Reason behind, you need to work very hard. The benchmark curves, which is BMK curves. What exactly is the difference between a benchmark curve and OIS curve? As a corporate treasurer, you should have a sound understanding that whether I am going with the BMK curve or I am going with the OIS curve, and if yes, then why, if no, then why, and which currency, that's more important. Currently, we are having 64 benchmark curves in the world, but all 64 are not liquid, all are not deep, few are liquid, few are deep, but all are not deep. Few OIS curves are deep, but all are not deep. So this is something which we really need to learn and understand very, very holistically. Very, very holistically. Treasury is a very fantastic career. There is no doubt about that. You interact with bank, financial institutions, hedge fund, NBFCs, rating agencies, senior management, dashboards, annual reporting, monthly reporting. There are a lot of things which you would be doing in the treasury function. But having said that, one important thing which makes you a success, which gives you a successful career in the treasury function, is your sound understanding and your ability. And another important thing is Eklavya versus Arjuna. Every corporate, with full respect, honor, and dignity, they are having their forte. There are many corporates who are only doing cash flow hedge. They don't do fair value hedge. There are many who do fair value hedge, cash flow hedge both. There are many who do options in both. There are many who do even net investment hedging also. There are limited corporates who do cash flow, fair value, net investment, and including forward and options. Henceforth, all corporates, respective corporates, they have their own forte. But a right treasurer is one who makes sure that he is working in XYZ corporate. And in this XYZ corporate, he is playing the role and responsibility which is assigned to him or her. And apart from that, like Eklavya, who used to watch Dronacharya via hiding behind a tree and used to learn all the skills which Dronacharya used to taught to Kauravas and Pandavas. Similarly, you might be working in a corporate, but one thing which you're supposed to do is that how you would be learning from the other corporates who are not your employer. That's really very important, and that skill you need to learn as a corporate treasurer. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Rahul Magan from Treasury Consulting Group. You have my number 9899242978. We're holding a WhatsApp group for learning. If you wish to learn something, you can join us in this group. Thank you.